welcome everybody. Today we're going to be starting off on our third term for CFUW painting class. I'm very excited for you all to be joining us, and I say I am recording this for anybody who can't make today. So today we're going to start off with, we've had a bit of rain lately, a little fall rainy day painting. But every week when we paint, I want you to feel that it doesn't have to be a carbon copy of mine. In fact, I really encourage you to do something different and make this unique and individual to you. So I am going to be asking you to think about how you can change it, change the color, change the orientation. Like you could have it portrait instead of landscape. You can change the background. I am going to take this right down to the bare bones. This time I have invested in a little bit of new equipment. So I am going to create a template, which I'm going to send you all after the class. So if you do want to recreate it again at home, there's going to be a set of notes that I'm going to be giving you and some templates. So we're just talking about how we can change this, how we can make it unique. Just as a bit of added value for you this term, I'm going to be providing notes at the end of every class, as well as a recording of the video so you can watch it again. And I have invested in a little bit of new equipment. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is giving you a tracing, a line drawing of each painting that we're going to be doing, so that because we're going to be doing a painting over 2 weeks, I'm going to be giving you the line drawing so you can prepare for the following week. So the first week we'll be doing the background, preparing it and doing as much as we can, and then the second week we'll be finishing touches and putting our focal points on. So with that in mind, I am going to be sharing the line drawings, the tracing of the main shapes and colors. So we are going to be thinking about colored background to start with. I know I did have a bit of discussion with some of you about how we could change this. I know some of you didn't like the green background. So if you want to change this to a very neutral background, or even what would look really cool is a black and white drawing and just a colored umbrella. I've done a couple of different variations of this, so I'm going to switch cameras in a minute and show you some of the drawings which I've done. But I want you to think before we start about what you can do to make this different and unique to you. So I am going to quickly change cameras.
Julie, can I ask you a question while you do that?
Go for it.
When you were holding that canvas up, it looks like it's an 8 by 10.
It is. Good job. Yeah.
You told us to get an 11 by 14.
Sorry?
In your instructions, you told us to get an 11 by 14.
Yeah. So I demonstrate on 8 by 10 purely for my camera work, because I find trying to have two 11 by 14 side by side, I have to have my camera so high, it's then hard for you to see the detail. So it's purely, I am shrinking all my paintings down to 8 by 10s so I can put the original and the new one just for demonstration purposes side by side. So it's a very good point that you're saying, but it's purely so you get the most out of the training. I found when I was demonstrating on larger canvases, it physically wouldn't fit within the overhead camera. So
that's good. I get it. Thanks.
So I'm just gonna switch cameras and then I am gonna show you what I've been doing on my iPad. So give me a second. I'm gonna switch cameras. Okay, and I know it won't be lined up just yet, but I'm going to line it all up. So give me a second. Okay, so hopefully you'll be able to see the original and my iPad. And I know my iPad is black right now. Okay, so can you see, it might be a bit of a glare. Is it a bit of a glare going on?
No.
No, it's okay. Okay, I'm just going to move this over so I can see what you're doing. I'm going to just pin myself as well. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to take this down a bit as far as glit. Right, that should be better now. Okay, so what I've done is I've created a line drawing of this, and I'm going to send you both in the notes. But one thing I'm also going to show you is ways in which you can change this. So as you can see, I did a very plain kind of green background on this with a puddle effect. But when I did my sketch, which I did today, you see how I've put a little bit of a pathway here. And I've put a bit of a forest in the background just to get a feeling of perspective. So we are going to have a bit of freedom with how we can change this. I am going to go back to my gallery, and I'm going to show you another version that I did of this. I can just, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Okay. Right, I'm going to take that off. I'm going to go to a black and white version of this, and I put like a different colored umbrella on it. So again, I just want you to see what this would look like, more of a black and white neutral, and you could just make the umbrella pop or just make the boots pop. So before we start painting, I want you to think about what kind of background you'll be thinking about doing with this painting. So each week I am going to try and do a little bit of this iPad work, just because it's easy for me to flip. And if you say I want to know what it looks like with this color, then as I get to know this technology a bit better, I should be able to kind of change it as and when you request it. But this is all brand new to me, so you know, each week I'll be getting better at this. But my hope is, if you want me to send you a printout with 10 different color versions so you can choose what it's going to look like, then I can do that, and you won't have to paint it first. I can change it instantly. So my hope is this little bit of a program is going to help us all. So the nice thing about this is I can show you in different layers. So this is the original again. I'm going to take off the other pictures and just show you the original, but I'm just going to layer on the other umbrella on top. I haven't quite figured out how you change the layers. I think maybe I put this on top. Here we go. So you see how I've changed the color of the umbrella. So again, I just want you to feel like you can play with this, and you do have the options for changing the colors as and when. So I am going to get my canvas ready. So with regards to colored background, you decide. Let's go back to the sketch that I did. There's the sketch. Okay, can you see the drawing on top of the original?
Yeah.
So as you can see, I just added in a horizon line, and I added in some trees just to give it a little bit of grounding. And I think when I paint this with you today, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to have a definite horizon line. I am going to dull down all, I think I'm going to bring in just fall colors and make this a lot duller, but and that's based on some feedback from Karen and a few of some of the rest of you. I can't speak today. I haven't put my mouth in properly. So, okay. So is that clear at the moment, what we're going to do? And I want you to feel like you can change this. So the first thing we're going to do is establish horizon line. You decide on what colors you want to use. Okay. So get out the paints depending on what color you want your sky, what color you want your ground, and what color you want your path or your puddle. And you can choose exactly what I'm going to choose, or you can have some freedom with it. And then we're going to try and get as much of the background painted as we can this week. I am going to send you the sketch, just the sketch. And I'm going to put so I'm going to send you just the sketch in an attachment, so that, you know, if you wanted to, you could either practice drawing it first, or if you really wanted to, you could actually trace it onto your canvas. I don't recommend it. I like people to try and draw it freehand, but it's there. I'm going to be sending you these if you want them. Would that be helpful if I do that? Yeah. Janice? Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, excellent. I'm just trying to make life a little bit easier for everybody. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. Right. So I'm gonna switch over to my canvas now, and I think this is going to be a good investment having this. Okay. At any point you need to refer back to the sketch, let me know. Okay, I am moving over to painting side. I'm just going to increase the light over here. So as you can tell, there is a reason why I'm painting a little bit smaller than you guys. So it fits in. See, it just fits. Any smaller, any larger, it wouldn't fit. Okay, I'm making this a bit lighter. Okay, I'm just going to get my palette out. So you choose your colors while I get my palette ready. Okay, so because I want to stick with fairly dull down fall colors, I'm going to be using a blue, and I'm going to be using I'm going to get out my primaries, my blue, red and yellow, and I'm going to be using I'm going to be making a brown, but I'm going to start with blue and white.
Julie,
Yeah.
which blue are you using?
So I'm going to be using cobalt blue.
Okay, thanks.
So I'm going to be using cobalt blue and white to start with. But I am working on my 3 primaries today. So my cadmium yellow, and my cadmium red, and my cobalt blue. There's my cadmium red. So it's interesting. I do have alizarin red on my palette too, so I can show you the two. So this is the cadmium red, and this is the alizarin red. And can you see the cadmium red is a bit more orangey? So that's kind of a good example to see them side by side and the difference between the two. So this is a lot warmer than the alizarin red. So, you know, it doesn't matter which one you use, just so you know, they each have a different effect. Okay. So as usual, the brush I'm going to be using is a 3/4 inch flat. I'm going to start by wetting my canvas. It just helps the paint flow a little bit more easily. So feel free, if you've got any questions, you can unmute yourselves and ask me any questions. If I go too fast, please feel free to interrupt me. Let me know if I'm going too quickly. So the first thing I'm going to do is establish a horizon line. So I am painting this slightly different from the original. So I am gonna be putting some white, mixing some white and blue together on my palette, and I want a fairly pale sky blue. So just looking at my palette, I am mixing just a tiny bit of blue to get a nice sky blue. And this is just going to start off my horizon line. Whenever I'm painting a horizon line, I try and have roughly 1/3 on this occasion, 1/3 sky, 2/3 land. It depends on the painting really. Sometimes I like to have more sky, but never put your horizon line dead center. It just doesn't read very well. And an easy way to get a straight horizon line, because we all have one eye higher than the other, is to put the canvas on its side. So I'm going to put the canvas on its side, and I'm actually going to run my finger down the edge of the canvas just to anchor it as I'm placing my brush. So this kind of helps me get a bit of a straight line. Just going to move this out of the way so there's no shadow. So about 2/3 land today and 1/3 sky. So I'm running my pinky finger down the edge of the canvas whilst I'm holding onto my brush. I'm kind of doing this, and that helps me get a bit more of a straight horizon line. Okay. And then you can always do any slight corrections. Doesn't have to be perfect. So maybe just give me a little thumbs up when you've done that, so I know everybody's at the same place. Okay, so our sky is always darker at the top and lighter on the horizon line. So I'm going to use this blue that I've just created. My canvas is a little bit too wet. So this blue that I just created, a little bit too wet. Just going to give it a quick dry. I was overzealous with my water. None of us are perfect. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that blue. Okay, so I'm going to put that blue kind of crisscross along the top to start with. So half of my sky. Don't forget to do your edges while we're at it. The sides of your canvas so it looks nicer. Just going to move this to one side. And then because I like to do a lot of mixing on the canvas, I'm going to go straight into my white. So I'm just going to wipe my brush off on the paper towel. And I'm going straight in with white. So I'm putting white on directly below my blue. And I'm going to work my way up. So I'm going to give myself a nice transition between blue and white. Now the next thing we're going to do.
Julie, can you wait just a few secs?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I was just going to explain to you. So while we're just waiting, I want you to think about whether you want a bright blue sky. But think about this as an umbrella painting, so it probably won't be a bright blue sky. So we might want it a bit more of a gray sky. So you decide if you want it bright blue or gray. I am going to gray it down a bit in a minute. And while our canvas is wet, I'm going to explain how to make a blue sky into a slightly grayer sky. And it's basically to do with complementary colors. So the opposite to blue on the color wheel, does anybody know the opposite to blue on the color wheel?
Sure.
People have been in my color theory class.
Yellow.
The opposite to blue on the color wheel?
Orange.
Orange, yeah. Orange is the opposite to blue on the color wheel. So if you want to have a gray sky, you'll want to put a little tiny bit of orange into your blue to gray it down.
I guess that's realistic if it's a rainy day.
Exactly. So I'm making orange. You can also use brown. If you've got brown in a tube, you could just use brown.
We're really talking about a speck, right, Julie?
Just a speck of orange in your blue. Now, if it goes more green than gray, so you see how this looks a bit more green than gray? It's got a bit of a greeny tinge. So you got to think, what makes green? So green is made by yellow and blue. So we are making our orange with yellow and red. So it's just basically like a little bit of a maths equation. So if my orange is yellow and red, and I'm adding orange to blue to make it gray, but I'm getting green, there's a little bit of one color missing in this mix. And 10 points to the person who can tell me, how do I make this gray green more of a gray?
Yellow.
So if I added yellow to green, what would happen?
Turns blue.
It would be greener.
Greener.
So what's in green? Green is blue and yellow. So if I mix, I'm only using my primaries to make gray right now and white. So I'll tell you, so if I add red to green, they cancel each other out. So I'm making my gray with orange and blue, but obviously my orange has too much yellow and blue in it. My orange has, too much yellow in it, and I'm making green. So I actually have to put a little bit more red in my orange and then put it in with my blue to make it more gray. So it's just, we're only ever using the primaries to make our colors. So now I've put white in with it. You can see it's like a dirty gray. So that's what I'm just going to add a tiny bit of that into my sky color. So the opposite to blue is orange. So if you want to gray down any color, you take its opposite. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this gray in to that background color. So I've made gray, just to recap, with blue and its opposite on the color wheel, which is orange. And I'm making a gray sky. So you see how this is graying down? This will all be in the notes. If you get a color you don't like, let me know and I'll tell you how to fix it. Because we can all learn from it. So can you see my gray?
Oh, yeah.
So I've made my gray by mixing orange and blue, which are opposite on the color wheel, and just I've lightened it with white. So in my Oops to Awesome class on a Wednesday, this is what we do a lot of, learning about color mixing and opposites. So I have my little bit of a gray sky now. And skies tend to be lighter on the horizon line. Now a good rainy sky has clouds too. So once we've established our background, let's put some clouds in. So there we go, a gray, rainy sky.
Julie, I'm having problems. It's so green.
Yep, so add a bit of red to it. Little bit at a time.
Okay.
So the opposite to green is red.
Right.
So if ever you get a color you don't like, think what is the opposite of that color?
Right. Okay.
And I will put a color wheel in with the notes so that it might be worth you all printing out the notes when I send them to you. So you have a color wheel in front of you when we do the color mixing, because then you can go, oh, I know. I need to make my yellow darker. How do I make it darker? And you can just quickly look at your color wheel and go, okay, the opposite to yellow is purple. So I need to add purple to make my yellow darker. Or it might be, you know, my purple's too blue. So you can look at your color wheel and see, oh, I need to add some red to it. So, but you can always ask me, because this is, I love color theory.
Oh, terrible.
I love it. I get so excited by it. I'm a color theory nerd. So if you get a green sky, just think, okay, the opposite to green is red. I need to add a very small amount of red to it. If it looks too red, you need to put back a little bit of green, which is yellow and blue. So most of the time, I only use the 3 primary colors and white. I very rarely use black these days. I always say, if you're going to buy paint, don't buy these big expensive variety packs with loads of colors, because you'll use up one color too soon. Just buy your 3 primaries and then build on that. Okay, while we're doing that, I'm going to refer you back to the sketch. And feel free to pause me at any point, ask me questions. Can you all see my sketch?
Yes.
So we've done the sky so far. Can you see this little pathway that I've made here in the sketch?
Yeah.
So we're gonna make the path to start with the same color as our sky, because the puddle is gonna reflect the sky. And we can put a bit more color in it later, but to make life easy, we're gonna make this pathway first, reflecting the sky, because we've got our sky color mixed, we may as well use it. So we're gonna make this pathway. So when we're doing a path, it's easier to do a nice windy path than a straight path. But you see my vanishing point here? This is where my path kind of, oh, hang on, disappears. See where it joins the sky? It kind of, my path starts off really wide and it just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's where my vanishing point is, right there. So I would do this with a paintbrush. So just get a smaller paintbrush. It can be a smaller flat or a smaller round. I'm just going to leave this here for now so you can see it. If my iPad goes to sleep, I'll just remember to unsleep it for a minute. So get a smaller paintbrush. I'm going to use a smaller flat. And I think I've told you all my little mantra whenever I'm switching brushes or switching colors.
Yeah.
I've got my paper towel, wipe, rinse, wipe. So I'm going to take my sky color. I'm going to start about a third of the way in from the right. And I'm going to make myself a wiggly, wavy line. And I'm going to look at maybe a quarter of the way up from the bottom of my canvas. So this is with my sky color.
The gray sky color?
Yep, same gray sky color. Now, as things get further away, they get lighter. So for now, just use the same gray color, but we are going to make it lighter eventually when we paint it in. So eventually it's going to be lighter at the horizon line. But for now, do it all one color because we're just establishing the shape. It's only going to be as wide as my thin brush at the horizon point. And then I'm going to do a bit of a copycat line. That's going to get wider. So I'm going to take my sky color to start with. And I'm going to fill it in the bottom part of my pathway. I always find when I'm filling in on a bare canvas, it's easy to do crisscrosses because that way you can cover those little holes in the weave. But slowly, slowly, I'm going to start adding little bits of white. So without cleaning my brush, I'm just going to put a little bit of white on the end of my canvas, on my end of my brush, sorry. And I'm going to start bringing in some white. So I am not picking up any more gray paint. I am just, I'll show you with my palette. I am just dipping into white with a dirty brush. I haven't cleaned my brush. Because as things get further away, they get lighter. So I'm making it lighter as it gets further away. Feel like singing that Singing in the Rain song. Do, 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 do. So I'm going to set up a private video channel on YouTube for you to access all these videos. And it will be labeled CFUW. And I'll send you all the links. And in theory, you should just be able to click the link and open it. I feel like my sky is a bit too dark. I think I'm just going to lighten this a little bit. My sky went a little bit too gloomy. We got to have a little ray of sunshine in there.
Yeah.
Too gloomy.
Such a beautiful day today.
I know, it's hard to paint. When I was designing this, it was a rainy day. Yeah, I'm gonna put, you know what, because I'm gonna put a bit more light in the corner here. I feel like it needs to be lighter. Need a bit of a ray of sunshine coming down. I really like painting and seeing what I'm doing on my screen because it looks different when I look up and see what you're seeing as opposed to what I can see painting live. So I'll often refer to the screen to help me change things. There we go. Got a bit more of a lighter. So I might even make this lighter once it dries and put another layer on. Now think about what color you want the ground. So we've got our gray path. Do you want your ground to be a greeny gray? Do you want it to have reds in it? So have a think about what you want. Do you want your forest to be mainly browns? I am going to make my forest, my grass, a kind of khaki green, but I am going to put some fallen red leaves, I think. But I'm going to put the khaki green down first. So when everybody's finished their path, give me a little thumbs up. And then I'm going to show you how to make a really nice khaki green using only your primary colors. Doing a lot of limited palette work today. And I love it when people share what you're doing. So if anybody's brave enough to share what they're painting, I'd love to see it. By the way, can you hear me okay? My microphone's a little bit farther away. I can move it closer if you need me to. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes, it's perfect.
Okay, great. I'm using my posh microphone that I normally use for singing. So
Mm. Julie, my stream doesn't have distinct ends, lines, or do you know what I'm saying? It's
well,
kind
it's a pathway.
yeah.
So don't worry about it for now. Let it dry because it's hard to push wet paint around. We're gonna make it more distinct once it's dry. We're gonna add more stuff to it.
Okay.
So don't worry about it now. This is first layer, 7 layers away from a masterpiece. Let's get the rest of it down.
Yeah.
And then we'll move back to it. So I'm going to go back to a bit of a bigger brush, but I'm going to let you choose. And we're going to make a forest green. So I'm going to show you my palette. Okay, so I'm going to take some cobalt blue. I'm going to find somewhere that's dry. Let's go over here. So cobalt blue. I'm going to start by making a green. So cobalt blue and yellow. I'm going to see what that looks like. It's not a bad green, actually. Okay. I don't mind that green at all. So we didn't put too much yellow in. A little bit more in. Okay. That's not a bad green, actually. All right, nice forest green. Okay. I am going to add a very tiny amount of red. Very small amount of red into that green, just to make it a little bit more khaki. So do you remember, if you want to change a color, dull it down or brighten it up, the best way to do it is to add its opposite. So its opposite is red. So we're working with a limited palette. We're only using our 3 primaries for everything today. So I've got my blue and yellow combined, and I'm just putting a little bit of red into it to make it more foresty. So as things are closer to us, they appear to be brighter, and as things get further away, they get more wishy-washy. So with that in mind, let's go back to our sketch. My iPad died. Okay, gotta plug that in for a minute. I'm gonna charge that up for a second. Okay, so I've got my khaki green, and I'm going to start by just placing it around the bottom part of my canvas. That's a really nice green, actually. I'm really pleased with that. I feel like the most natural greens come from when you mix the primaries and you don't buy a tube green.
We do Oh, that's dark.
It is dark because I've made it with the primaries. We are going to lighten it up as we get further away though. So I'm just working on the edges of my canvas. So the painting goes over the edges of the canvas. So yes, it is dark. I'm going to put a little bit of that on the other side as well. So we're going to keep the background, which was a really good suggestion. Karen, was it your suggestion to make the background grayer?
Yes.
Yeah. So it was Karen's really good suggestion. So that umbrella really pops and we can make our umbrella really bright and maybe the boots really bright. I think that was a really good suggestion. So I'm going to take my green up to about halfway up my canvas. So it's pretty much even on both sides of my path. Maybe a little bit below halfway. Before I start introducing my whites. And just like we did with the path, without cleaning our brush, we're going to dip into our white. And we're going to start blending. As things get further away, they get lighter and brighter. So can you see as I add white into the mix without cleaning my brush, it's just having a nice blend of getting lighter as it gets further away. So I'm still working on the greens that are in the original, but I'm just making it more of a gray green. And that's being achieved because I'm adding the white, and we also use red as a bit of a base to the green as well. So I'm going right up to my horizon line.
Julie, will you slow down for a sec?
Yep.
Thank you.
I'm not doing any more just yet anyway.
Wait.
Yeah. Julie, I'm just showing you where I'm at.
Let's see. Very nice.
Okay.
I like your minty green on the, that's nice.
I'm painting a wall in my bedroom, Julie. It looks
Yeah?
like my 5-year-old grandson's doing it. I don't know. It's a little harder than it looks.
Oh, like a mural, is it?
No, 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 no. Are you kidding? If it was a mural, I'd be calling you.
Yeah.
No, it's just an accent wall, but it's a darker color. So the streaks, it's only first coat. I've got to hope that by second or third coat, it'll be better.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of painting, wall painting to do.
Do you enjoy it?
I do actually. I have to be in the right mood.
Mm-hmm.
I do need to repaint my whole house actually, because I haven't really decorated since, well, since before I had Dean. So I do need to, but I'm going to start with outside because I painted the outside of my house a couple of years ago and I need to repaint the door because the cat scratched all the paint off. So I'm going to do the door first and then I'm going to paint some of the rooms. But I don't know, if I get in the right frame of mind and put on a really nice podcast,
Yeah.
you know, or an audiobook,
Yeah.
I can get quite lost in it, you know?
Mm.
And sometimes it makes a difference just painting something all one color and just focusing on, like, if you make it into a mindfulness exercise,
Yeah.
you know, and just really focus on the movement of the brush and, you know, and listen to a story while you're doing it, you can kind of get quite into it in a way.
Right. Because that's really the key, isn't it? The pressure, to keep the same uniform pressure, or
Yeah.
a light touch or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not trying to rush it, just kind of, and I find doing it in stages as well, because painting a whole room can be quite overwhelming, but just sort of thinking, right, today I'm going to achieve one wall.
Right.
You know,
Okay. Excuse
and
me.
listening to your body when you're getting burnout as well, when you're like, oh, I'm really tired, because that's when you start making mistakes. And
Right. Right.
the same as painting on canvas, listening to your body and listening when you've had enough.
Right. Okay. Excuse me for just a sec.
No problem. How's everybody doing? Let me know when you're ready to move on. In the meantime, I'm just gonna put that sketch into a document for you, which I'm gonna send you all at the end of today. So the notes are purely just to help and to be a reference as and when you need it. I'm just adding this into the chat now. If anybody wants to look at it straight away, you'll find it in the chat. I'm also sharing I'm going to put this into the notes, but I'm just going to quickly screen share a painting that I found of a really nice woodland scene. I don't know if you can see the scene. Can you see a forest on my screen, Karen?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can see it.
So you can see it. I mean, this is kind of a wet path, a very wet path, but you can see the way the tree, it's pretty nice, the trees, imagine all. So you see how as things get further away, they get very kind of misty and muted.
Mhm.
So the colors are very sharp in the forefront, and then as they get further away, they get very misty. And you see how the trees are almost the same color as the sky, those very distant trees.
Yeah.
So I just thought I'd share that as an example. let me know when you're ready to do some more.
Julie, should the sky be bluer or the drips be bluer? The stream,
Well, it's a path.
this path.
So I would say definitely your sky needs to be bluer.
Okay.
So I'm waiting for mine to dry and then I am gonna add to it, but I'm gonna be doing my forest too. I might just give mine a quick dry while you're still painting.
Thank you. Sorry.
Julie, can you hear me?
How's everybody doing?
Julie, I'm going to have to leave to get myself ready for the next Zoom call.
Okay.
So I will have a look at the recording of what I missed and be ready for next week.
No problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit down the recording and try and get that out to you this evening. And I'll also
Okay.
be adding in some notes. So
Okay.
yeah, for sure, you will get all the notes. All we're going to do between now and next week is we're going to put in our trees. So, you know, the trees that we put in the sketch,
Right.
just going to be adding in the trees. So I will take a screenshot of where I'm up to, as
Okay.
well as doing the recording. So then you could print off the notes and see it, you know, side by side. And yeah. So, and
Okay.
you know, if you get stuck, just give me a call if you need a
Okay.
little bit of extra. So, okay. Nice to
Thank
see you. See you next week.
See you
Okay.
next week. Thanks, Julie.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay. So I think I'm going to lighten my sky a little bit. I feel like it's gone a little bit too dark and gloomy. So I'm just going to add in a bit of white. And I want to get a little bit of a sun ray effect. So you see how I'm just sort of coming down a little bit here. I'm just want to create a little bit of a sun ray, a ray of sunlight coming down.
Thank you so, whoops, am I on? Oops. Sorry.
So I'm actually bringing this slightly below my horizon line. So yeah, I just feel like putting a little bit of a ray of sunshine coming in. So I'm just putting a little bit of white over. Yeah, that's better. A bit brighter. Okay, so everybody ready to tackle a few trees? Yeah,
Absolutely.
wonderful. Okay. Right. So we're gonna put in some trees. So do you remember how we made our blue sky a bit grayer? We're gonna make a brown for the trees. Again, just using the primary colors. Same kind of principle. So we're gonna use some of that sky blue again with a bit of white. So sky blue with some white. Then we're gonna add yellow and red. So the easiest way to do it is to make some orange as well. So orange is yellow and red. So make some orange. We may still have some left. And then we're going to add it, the orange, to our sky blue. And we should make a light brown. So this time we're having less blue and more orange. So it's exactly the same as our sky, but more on the orangey side and less on the blue side, but we still got a lot of white added to it. So you do want it about one step darker than the sky. So orange plus blue is our brown. And we want this subtle, so we don't want it too dark. Whenever I'm mixing a color, I do wipe my brush off before I apply it so the brush isn't too loaded. So we're going to do some really, really skinny far away trees. Whenever I'm describing trees, I always say think about the letter Y, wobbly Ys. So let's start over here. So to start with, they're going to be on the horizon line. And I'm doing some wobbly letter Ys. They're going to be very, very subtle. You see this? So a tree needs to be a little bit wider at the bottom. And they don't all have to be this light. We can make some of them a little bit darker. So the first lot's going to be just on the horizon line. Going to bring this down. So I feel like mine came out a little bit too light. So I've just taken them down. I'm just taking them down a little bit. And if you do some darker and lighter ones, bring the darker ones below, slightly below your horizon line to get a bit more of a feeling of distance. So by making them darker, it's just less white in the mix. So it's still my blue and orange, but less white. So rule of thumb is things get further away, they get smaller and lighter in color. And as things get closer, they get bolder and larger. So I'm going to keep lowering the trees as I get closer and make them slightly bigger as I get closer to the front. So I'm going to put a tree here. That's going to go off the top because you won't see the top. So this is still my orange and blue. whenever I'm doing the bottom of trees, I don't kind of just flatten them off at the bottom. I kind of imagine where the roots going into the ground. So I kind of curve them a little bit. So you see how I made that one a little bit closer to get the feeling of, I mean, obviously there's no leaves on these at the moment, so it does look a bit of a spooky forest, a bit Halloween-y, but we're going to have that big pop of a nicely brightly colored umbrella in the boots, and this is just our subtle background. How's everybody doing? Doing okay? Okay. How we doing, everybody? So I may put, just to get a feel of perspective, I might put quite a big tree in the foreground. So I think I'm going to bring a tree. So this is just my orange and blue, no white in it at all. I'm going to take a really big tree up into my foreground. Just to give the painting a bit of perspective. So this is just blue and orange, and can you see how nice, what a nice brown it makes? And there's no black in this, it's just my 3 primaries. Does anybody have any questions for me while we're painting? We're getting close to the end. We got about 20 minutes left. So because we're using the same colors to make the trees, we can play with that. So I'm actually using more blue on one side of my tree and more orange on the other side. Can you see that on my, kind of put more, I've got a big tree in front and I've put more blue on one side and more orange on the other side.
It's very effective.
Yeah. And it's, you know, again, we have not used black at all, just the primaries and white. And to make it darker, just add another layer when it's dry.
What happens if your trees ruined your entire painting? Julie?
I wonder why she can't hear you.
I don't know. I'm just gonna start from scratch.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, she can't hear you because she's drying.
Oh,
Did
No,
somebody
no.
say something? Sorry, I can't hear you when my hairdryer is going. Did somebody say something?
I was just saying, if your trees ruined everything, you just paint over it and start again?
Can I see it?
Oh, it's terrible. I did great until I put the trees in and it looks like ridiculous. I need to work on trees. I liked everything till I put the trees in.
Oh, you know what? You just have to thin them out, thin out the branches. They're just, they kind of stop little stumpy, just kind of elongate them and make them thinner.
So do I paint over the whole thing?
No, just get a finer brush and just make your branches a little bit thinner as they get further away from the trunk. Don't
Okay.
forget, there's going to be a big, massive umbrella where most of your trees are. You're not even going to see it. This is just our background painting. It's like we're painting the scenery and your actors, the main, are going to take a main stage. Your umbrella is going to take center stage, so I really wouldn't, don't worry about it too much. How are we all doing?
I'm sort of with Karen on the trees. I always feel that way though. I always love the background and the colors. And then the minute I have to try and put something in that looks like something.
Well, I'm just saying don't worry about it because seriously, there's going to be a big umbrella in front of those anyway.
Yeah. Julie, can I just ask you, on Wednesday night, is it the pumpkin or the scene?
On Wednesday night, I'm sending out the email for Wednesday night. I'm changing it up a bit. I'm going to do something a bit more fun, but I
Okay.
haven't finished painting it yet. Because a lot of people have already done the pumpkin, so I'm going to change it up. So I'm going to be sending out the email this afternoon after I've finished painting it, but I've had 2 workshops this morning, so I'm going to work on it. It'll be I'm gonna do like an apple orchard with a barn.
Oh,
So it's gonna
nice.
be like a fall scene, and it's actually based on the real apple orchard that's by my house.
Oh,
So that's
nice.
why I haven't finished painting it yet. Because the feedback I got was a lot of people have already done the pumpkin. So I've
Yeah.
got about, I'm hoping to publish all the paintings coming up. The following week, we're gonna do a really, really cool, it's a leaf floating on water with pebbles underneath, and it's absolutely gorgeous. I'll show you what I have. Let me see if I can find it. And that one is going to be really fun. See if I can find it. There we go. Wait till you see this. I'm going to do my own version of it. Can you see my screen?
Oh yeah, now I can. Oh, that's lovely.
Yeah.
I like it.
But I'm adapting it. But
Yeah.
that's what I'm working on as well for the following week.
Nice. Okay.
But the one we're going to do Wednesday is going to be really pretty.
And next week I won't be here, unfortunately. We have a protest at CFUW around.
Oh, a
care.
protest.
Yeah, for long-term care. So I'll just follow along when I get and finish it up. Yeah, the timing is not ideal, but of course there's nothing to say about that.
Is it? Sorry, which one are you going to miss? This one?
Yeah, next week on Monday.
Oh, right.
Yeah, it's designed. I might come in later because it's at 12. It's at 12 o'clock. So
Right.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay, we've got about 10 minutes left.
I think I'm good to leave it at this point.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yep. This is just the background.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to share the video with you all. I'm going to send you the video and notes from today. I'm going to try and get that out to you before close of play today. And then you'll have next week. So what I would like you to do in preparation for next week, if you have time, is on a sheet of paper. I'm just going to switch screen so you can see me. Give me a second. I'm going to move you over to my other screen. Can you see me okay? Okay. So your challenge, if you choose to accept it, a bit like Mission Impossible. Doom, 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 doom. So your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to take the image of the painting that I'm going to send you and create a thumbnail sketch. All the details will be in the notes. So just on a piece of paper, draw a rectangle that's proportionately in proportion to the canvas that you paint on. So we're all painting on different size canvases. So just shrink it down. So if you're on an 8x10, shrink it down to a 4x5 rectangle and sketch the umbrella, the pants, and the Wellington boots. And just create a sketch. So very similar to the line drawing that I did on my iPad and the one that I'm going to be sending you. So no cheating and tracing mine, because that's like, you don't learn from. So I want you to make this, actually draw it out on paper, just with a pencil, black and white. But just focus on the shadows of the jeans exactly as I've drawn them.
Okay.
So you're creating a thumbnail sketch. The reason is when we practice drawing something, we then have muscle memory. So when we paint it, we'll remember how to do it. So even if you draw it a couple of times, just the more often you draw it, you'll have the muscle memory and know where things. Because when we paint, we're not just thinking about shapes, but we're also having to think about color. But so if you've already practiced the shapes, it won't be as tricky to apply it to a painting. So it's more just a bit of a memory thing, like a practice. So so create a thumbnail sketch on a piece of paper based on the painting that I'm going to send you. I'll be sending you the sketch as well, so you'll have, but don't just trace the sketch, try and practice it. Okay, so that's the homework. So that will be in the notes I'm about to send you. So I will send you also a screen print of what I've done so far, because it is a different background to the original. Because all we've done is we've added in horizon line and some trees and we've dulled down the green. Okay. What we will be adding next week is the person, the pants, the Wellington boots, the umbrella. And then we're just going to add, if we want to, a little bit of grass, maybe, and a bit of reflection in the water. So we've done all the hard work and the prep today. So it's a bit like when you're painting a wall in your house, we've done all our edging and all the boring stuff. And now we're going to do all the fun stuff. So do try and practice a thumbnail sketch. I do believe it will help you a lot and will give you confidence for when you paint it. And then we'll run through a brief of what we're going to do the following week as well. If you want to, between now and next week, send me a quick picture of what you've done. I'm always happy to see what you've done. And I am going to allow 5 minutes now for anybody who wants to stay behind and ask me any questions or show me anything they've been working on. I like to do a little bit of a debrief at the end, so I'll be here for the next 5 minutes if you do want to run through anything, but if you need to go, you can go. I hope you found it useful working with a limited palette today and learning a little bit about all the amazing colors we can make from just the primaries and white. Like we have not used black at all. We've mixed everything from scratch, which I think is pretty cool, you know. And the spectrum opens up even more when we use cool versions. So that we've used warm versions of our blue and red, and the cool version of our yellow. But when we start adding in different versions of blue and red, it opens up the spectrum even more of what we can do. And those people who are joining me on Wednesday for Oops to Awesome, I will see you on Wednesday.